It's been a minute, huh? Hello. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, share. True Essence, Phoenix Rising, Miss Chicago. How you guys doing? I've been trying to do this live for almost a month. What's going on, Amber C? It's been almost a month. The footage that I have, I've been updating as we go. I just have not been able to get live. So I really wanted to talk about this. How do my levels sound? My son was in here, and I can tell he was in here because everything was out of whack. Everything sound okay? I'm trying to fix this. Clearly, my son got in here, and my lights were turned around. My mic was swung around this way. Everything was just off. So if you can hear me, that would be, if you can just put a 1 or say yes or something, because I have no idea what was going on. Okay, cool. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I want to talk about the drones. This phenomenon has been going on for over a month now. And it is, it's really weird because this is the first time we've had something like this happen. And literally the government is not saying anything. They're talking and they're essentially saying, we don't know what's going on, but something is happening. And yes, you guys, there's nothing to worry about. And then when they're asked, what is it? They say, we don't know. And it's kind of hard to tell me not to worry about something when you are telling me that you don't know what it is. So how do you know whether or not I should worry about it? So I'm going to get right into this video or into this presentation because it's really been bothering me. And I'm curious as to what you guys think. Let's go. Here we go. Again, this started back in November, I want to say between the 15th and 20th of November, and it's still going on. And we are heading into January of 2025. Very, 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 very strange. So
into the newsroom, the White House says they shot down a second balloon this afternoon. The Pentagon believes the Chinese were not only trying to watch the U.S., but listen too. They say the antenna on the balloon.
So this is what happened last year in January of 2023. And I wanted to cover this first because there is precedent for something like this happening. The government actually explained it. They just didn't do anything about it. So again, I wanted to cover this first so we can lead into the drones, because I believe, put my tinfoil hat on. I don't know if it has to be a big tinfoil hat. What's going on, Oliver Green Apartments? I believe that this was a precursor to what we're dealing with right now. And this is just explaining what we went through, like I said, in January of 2023.
Balloon collects electronic conversations. Solar panels powered the collection sensors. Defense officials say they blocked the balloon from collecting sensitive data as it floated across the country.
I mean, look, it's a violation of international law. It's our airspace. And once it comes in our space, we can do what we want with it.
Days after that balloon was shot down, the U.S. military is still trying to find all the pieces.
The surveillance balloon shot down over the U.S. is helping reveal new information about China's spy program. Officials say the 200-foot-tall balloon had propellers and a rudder, along with a self-destruct capability that went unused. A senior U.S. official says similar Chinese spy balloons have flown over more than 40 countries, with China relying on people mistaking them for weather balloons. The official tells ABC News the Chinese realize that between satellites and the normal altitude of airplanes, there's an area where you can gather intel. This has exposed gaps in our intelligence.
And it seems as if we've learned nothing since 2023 when this all happened. And conveniently, they say, well, don't worry, everybody. The Chinese didn't get anything. I don't know how they know that, but they said, don't worry, they didn't get any information. Nothing was transmitted. We didn't lose anything. All right.
There have been at least 4 incursions in recent years. They were very different. They were off the coast of the U.S. and very brief. But what's frightening about this is the U.S. military had no idea those incursions were happening until afterwards.
On Saturday, a fighter jet fired a missile at the balloon over the Atlantic, leaving a 7-mile debris field off the South Carolina coast. Unmanned underwater vehicles are being used to search for wreckage. A source says U.S. officials are hopeful the entire payload will be recovered, including the technology bay, which will be pieced back together enough to understand its full operational potential.
They never went over this. They revisited this a year, I think it was January 2024, they revisited this, but they didn't say what we lost, what information we lost. They didn't say anything, really. There was a general who was just talking about it, saying essentially the same thing. They found an area, a gap in our intelligence gathering ability. And that's it. That's all we're supposed to take away from what happened. Again, this is January 2023. We still don't know what happened, or at least they didn't say what happened. I'm old enough to remember when Joe Biden got elected, him saying that this would be the most transparent administration in U.S. history. Yet we don't know anything about anything, and he's never been transparent about anything. What's going on, CP3?
The balloon was first spotted over Alaska, then passed over sensitive military installations through Montana, the plains in the Midwest, until reaching the East Coast.
Now, look, this was the path. It went over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 military installations. And the Biden administration did absolutely nothing. They shot them down after they gathered all the information that they wanted. The reason was, I believe they said the reason was they didn't want to shoot it out the sky to hurt anybody. There are a lot of mountain ranges in Montana. There are a lot of mountain ranges up in Alaska, where we first spotted it. We did not have to let it go through the entire country like this. We just didn't. But we did, and they were just watching it. I don't know what they were watching for. They were trying to determine what it was that China was trying to do instead of just shooting it down. Back in the 90s, if a Russian plane came across our airspace in any way, we would escort it out or shoot it down. That's it. For some reason, if it's a balloon, we let it go thousands and thousands and thousands of miles across our country and over top secret areas of our nation and military installations. Go figure.
The East Coast. The Pentagon said shooting the balloon down over land would risk lives on the ground. But critics accuse the White House of not being prepared.
They should have been prepared either to intercept, to prevent, to take it down, or to try to, to capture the balloon so they could capture the equipment that's there.
A senior U.S. official says a certain group inside the Chinese army controlled the balloon.
Yes, first shot missed on the fourth balloon. So we're talking about the balloon that was downed over Lake Huron. The first balloon, the Chinese spy balloon that went down over the Atlantic on the South Carolina coast, that shot hit. The second one over Alaska, on the north coast of Alaska, that one hit. The third one that landed in the Yukon, that one hit. On the fourth one over Lake Huron, first shot missed, second shot hit.
Critics say it took too long for the U.S. to act against a Chinese threat.
The response should have been crystal clear. It should have been shot down before it entered our skies.
It was a bad mistake to let a Chinese spy balloon float all across America.
Following the spy balloon incident, the U.S. shot down 3 other unidentified objects in 3 days. One of them may have been a hobby club science project. Van Herk told us the balloon revealed the U.S. needs to see possible threats before they are close to the U.S. coast.
No. I don't know if you guys remember the hobbyists that they just mentioned. So we went from not doing anything for days. I think it took like a week for that thing to get across the country. It's huge, 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 huge balloon. Somehow we missed it with our missiles. I don't know how that happened. But anyway, we went from that to shooting on anything that we saw in the sky because Biden's administration overreacted after the fact and started shooting down hobbyist balloons and actual weather balloons. We knew what it was as soon as it crossed through Alaska. It couldn't be anything else. It was too low to be a weather balloon, but we just, let's take a look at it, just gazing at it.
with over-the-horizon radars. And he says the need for the military, intelligence agencies, and U.S. allies to share information faster. Why is it that time is so critical?
Time is decision space. Time is the opportunity to create deterrence options, or if required, defeat options.
10.5 months later, do you have a better ability to share between these various commands and agencies?
Not where we need to be.
Not where we need to be, to the point that now here we are another year later after that, going through the exact same thing. We're still ill prepared. We know nothing. Nothing. What are we doing? This is national security, and they're acting as if it's no big deal.
You may remember that Chinese surveillance balloon that crossed the U.S. earlier this year. Remember that? Before it was shot down by the U.S. military after its 7-day journey. Well, here's an update on the investigation. U.S. intelligence found that the balloon used an American internet service provider to send data related to its location back to China.
So not only did they have the grapefruits to fly a balloon over our country and over our military installations for 7 days, but they use our internet as access to communicate back home what they were seeing. They use our internet provider.
The balloon did not send intelligence back to China, but it did store images and data for later. China has said the balloon was used for civilian weather research and that it accidentally blew off course.
It blew off course right over 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I said 6 military installations. I can barely get, at my job, I can barely get internet in my office. They stole internet to transmit our secrets back to China. Of course, they say they didn't get anything. They was just storing it. I don't know why they would say that when they, like seconds before that, they admitted that it used our internet connections. So fast forward to now. This is, when did this begin? Dang it, I just had it up there. Nah, I'll play it from here.
Accidentally blew off course.
Okay, there it is. So November, I wish I would have got the date. I want to say 17th. I don't know why that number's stuck in my head. November 17th, now we're starting a whole new era and a whole new level of grapefruits. We don't know who's doing it.
A mystery in the skies.
7 right here. What the heck?
States across the Northeast reporting swarms of suspected drones appearing with no explanation.
They're just pacing back and forth, going very slow.
Hovering around densely populated residential areas, sensitive military installations, and even President-elect Trump's Bedminster Golf Club, where he lives.
This is the 12th drone that has come by from the same spot. There it is.
Some residents spooked.
These are big. You know, they're the size of small cars.
Officials in New Jersey demanding action from federal authorities, meeting with Homeland Security earlier this week.
It scares the bejesus out of me. You have to tell me, in this day and age, 2024, that somebody can be flying drones over northern New Jersey and we have no clue who it is, where they're coming from, or where they're landing? That's unacceptable.
A New Jersey legislator also in that meeting posting on X that the drones appear much larger than typical hobby drones, in some cases up to 6 feet. They often fly with their lights off, making them harder to detect.
Now, I need you guys to think about this. This is a legislator, meaning this is somebody in Congress. If this was us, they would have debriefed them so that they did not do this. They are communicating to the world, more importantly to us, the citizens. They're saying, hey, we don't know what this is. These are larger than normal. This one says 6 feet. There's another one they said was the size of a car. There's other ones that they say are the size of a bus. Drones. I'll ask again, what are we doing here?
Between 4 to 180 sightings per day. most often between 5 and 11 p.m. The White House, FBI, and Homeland Security downplaying any potential threat.
We have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or a public safety threat, or have a foreign nexus. The Department of Homeland Security and the FBI are investigating these sightings, and they're working closely with state and local law enforcement to provide resources using numerous detection methods to better understand their origin.
So you don't know the origin, but you know for sure that there's no evidence that they're a national security threat. Why? Because they haven't done anything yet? What's considered a national security threat? They're over LaGuardia Airport. They're over DC. They're over military bases on the East Coast. How is that not a national security threat? What's going on, Andre W? I would love to hear your insight on this one, sir. The link is pinned. If anyone wants to come up, I would love to hear anyone's insight, specifically Andre W, even though he said he not doing it.
The Biden administration saying many of the so-called drones appear to be manned aircraft operating lawfully. Many videos since debunked, a response that lawmakers say is not enough.
Come on out, Mr. Kirby, and let's go on out one night about 9:30, 10 o'clock. I'll go out behind my town hall, and you can count them with me all night.
The people of this city and state and region deserve answers of what the heck is going on.
In a strongly worded letter to the FBI, DHS, and FAA, senators from New York and New Jersey expressing urgent concern.
The lack of information is absolutely unacceptable.
Tonight, an aerial mystery that's been described as unnerving is growing. The FBI now investigating multiple reports of unidentified drones flying over New Jersey, some as large as a small car.
All right. The gentleman before this little report started is a liberal Democrat. So this is not a political thing. This is not right or left. This is literally government officials saying, what are we doing here? What is going on? New Jersey local officials and actual Congress people are saying, what is going on? I might play Mayorkas, probably not. I can't listen to that guy for long. I can't even look at his face. But I might play his ridiculous statement. Probably not, though.
And today, a large drone seen here, also described as the size of a small vehicle, flying over a California event where Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin was in attendance.
More drones in the sky. Rockaway, New Jersey.
The New Jersey drones, initially spotted in the northern part of the state, now being reported further south. Sightings also now being reported in New York City. Staten Island Borough President Vito Fossella calling on the FAA and FBI to expand their investigation.
People have seen a number of 15-foot or so wingspan drones hovering around. In this day and age, I just don't think that that's something you take lightly. If it is nothing to be concerned about, someone should come forward and say that.
Residents alarmed by the number of sightings.
One would go over, and then the next one would come, and then the next one, and the next one. So it wasn't like there would be 20 coming at one time.
Jonathan Lace, a pilot himself, shot this shocking video overnight of multiple car-sized drones near the Essex County, New Jersey airport. Yeah. So concerned by what he saw, he contacted the FAA.
What's been probably the most alarming thing to you?
As a pilot, I can tell you that when you're about to land, the last thing you want to see is something hovering in front of you.
What is that? With many questions and few answers, residents and officials alike on high alert as the mystery in the sky deepens.
I've been skeptical of this story. As a resident of New Jersey, as a journalist here, I thought it was going to be some sort of yahoos and we would get a laugh out of this.
So here's what's the most concerning to me. Again, there's bipartisan government officials saying, hey, we don't know anything about this. What is this? They're asking that idiot Mayorkas, who's over Homeland Security. They're asking the Department of Defense. They're asking everybody, what is this? This guy was a skeptic, I want to say 2 days before this report. I believe it was 2 days before this report. Listen to how concerned he sounds coming back. These are people who didn't believe in whatever this is going on. They just assumed, yeah, okay, whatever. Everybody's seeing drone. 180 sightings per night is insane. Car size, that's insane. Lights, no lights, no lights is really insane.
In several weeks. What happened yesterday completely changed my entire view on this story. Earlier in the afternoon, I was out with the Ocean City Sheriff's Department. They have a drone unit. They've investigated these things. What they've saw a bunch over the weekend. We did not see any with them last night. I was coming back home. I got a tip. Monmouth County, they're spotting them in Monmouth County. That's where I live. So I raced up here and I tried to figure out where the picture was that somebody sent me. And sure enough, I saw one, so I trailed it to a neighborhood, a dead-end street, and I got out of my car and I took my phone out with, my iPhone, and I couldn't really capture it, but I was staring literally at this drone 200 feet above me, maybe. I called our photographer, Nick, and I said, get up here as soon as you possibly can, meet me at this location, etc. I tracked a few more to the location where we are right now, over a body of water behind us. And I gotta say, Brian, over the next 2 hours, we saw dozens and dozens of these things, and they look like nothing you've ever seen before. I'm not even sure I'm right in calling them a drone. They looked like they were fixed wing aircraft. They had multiple, blinking lights. They did not look anything like a plane, because there's plenty of planes flying overhead. Like tonight, they're not here. We're seeing just planes. Last night was totally different. They look creepy, and they move at a different pace. We tried to even follow a couple. They went off in the distance and disappeared. It's completely rewired my brain on this topic, and I'm a believer, and we need answers.
And again, there's concern in this guy's voice. And he's dismissing, because what we keep hearing is, well, they're airplanes, they're just regular drones flying around. It's copycat people just flying regular drones. And you see people saying, no, that's not what this is. This guy's an investigative reporter. He's a natural skeptic. In order to be an investigative reporter, you have to be able to go into something completely objective before you come to any conclusions. That's what this guy does. That's what he does. He's an investigative reporter. He's genuinely concerned. He said, we need answers. He didn't say, I want to know what's going on. No, he's genuinely concerned for whatever he saw. And of course, it's at night. Why are drones flying around at night? We'll get into that. I put some stuff in here about that.
And we don't have answers, and we need someone to step up and say, here is what's going on. Because otherwise, we're heading down this path in New Jersey and these states where people are just going to take this into their own hands.
Yeah, and I'm looking at your video right now. We have it in the middle of the screen. I know it's tough at night when you're using your iPhone and it's pitch black. You said you were near the water, but so it's kind of hard to see. But we've heard these reports from people, but hearing it from you, Rich, as our investigative reporter, knowing the kind of work you do, it is kind of freaky to hear you say that that you couldn't identify it. Describe it a little more. I mean, how big? And when I think of a drone, you think of it's got it's almost like a little helicopter with the 4 rotors. Do these look different than that?
They look different. They almost look like a U-shaped or a V-shaped. They didn't make a sound. It was, a couple hundred feet above us. You just didn't know what you were looking at. It was moving across the sky very quietly, and we kept saying to each other, Nick and I, what are we looking at? Are you getting the shot, and what the heck are we filming? There's a couple shots you can see where you can see that it's fixed wing, and it doesn't look like a plane. It almost looks like inverted. It sounds crazy as I say this now, Brian, that's what you're seeing on the screen. That's what we were seeing right above our heads, and it happened till about 11:30 at night, and then it started to die off, and I was like, we can stay out here all night, but I went to bed. This is my community. I've never seen these things in the sky over my community before. I went to bed thinking this is wild. These things are flying over our homes, over our residences. There's a military, Earl, which is a munitions depot just about a mile and a half behind me. They've reported sightings of these things above, and they said they're ready to take action if they need to. This is, for naysayers out there, this is real.
So how many did you see at once, Rich? Was it just the one, or?
Well, no, I think we would see a couple at a time in various parts of the sky over this water. And we'd be like, oh, we didn't get this shot on that one. And they'd be like, well, wait, we'll just wait. You know, I'm sure there'll be another one. And sure enough, like one started creeping towards us. And it's like, it felt like I was in a bad sci-fi movie, like that it was just that I was placed in, but it involved my actual hometown. It was very, very surreal.
I mean, to hear you saying this, again, it just sort of hits me in a different way coming from you. Wow.
We were hearing about them in New Jersey, and suddenly we're in eastern Pennsylvania. It's as if they migrated over. I called a couple of friends, and we were texting each other as we were all of us seeing them in different areas. And the one tonight, I saw one going west. It was red blinking lights like this one. Another one was coming toward it from the west going east. And then the westward one suddenly turned around and went into formation with the one going east, turned green. The lights turned green and then yellow. And it looked very much like what we're seeing here in these pictures.
Have you ever seen anything like it, Dr. Ramsland? And are you sure it wasn't a plane?
It couldn't possibly be a plane. It was flying low. It was within half a mile of me. There's no plane path at that point, and it didn't act like a plane. A plane can't turn that fast, and it also had oddly spiral kinds of movements that you just don't see with a plane.
And so it was
and
last
there was no
night.
noise. Again, no noise. Yeah,
No
exactly.
noise. So last night and again tonight?
Yes.
Mine don't look like what you're showing there at all. These things are round. The ones that I saw were round. And they've got this ring around them. And around the ring, it's got little lights on it, and the light is spinning.
So this sounds like, obviously there's a variety of these things, but this sounds like something that this gentleman brought up. And this gentleman, you don't know who he is. Let's see. But he is the gentleman who had got the footage of those orbs that were flying. And they were the ones who were dropping, 500 feet in less than a second. They were orbs with a square in the middle of them, and they were flying up and endangering. He's a pilot. His name's Ryan Graves. He was a pilot. And he's the one who got the famous footage you'll see of it. You could see the plane or the fighter jet was trying to follow the orbs. I think they were calling them Tic Tacs, and they were flying around. If I had the footage, you would know what I'm talking about. But the Tic Tac UFOs, or whatever you want to call them, this is the guy who was covering them, and he's talking about the mysterious overflights. You can see it's kind of small, huh? He's talking about the mysterious overflights of military bases by unidentified objects will come to light. He thinks Spark started this incident, maybe Picatinny Arsenal or nearby Trump Golf Course, which fits a troubling pattern years running. Yeah, it's not just hobbyists. It's definitely not. But this guy's an interesting follow. If you don't follow him on Twitter, Ryan Graves, he's a pilot, like I said, a former pilot, and he runs an organization now trying to figure out what these things are because they're dangerous. And I didn't know that Rand Paul blocked Chuck Schumer's want to shoot these things down. I didn't know that. I don't understand why they would block that. There are rules that are stopping them from being able to act. But it seems like they just want to pass more bills, and I'm not a fan of passing more bills. I'm going to guess that's where Rand Paul was coming from. But when they're over military installations, I don't know why they don't just shoot them down. My biggest, I'm not going to go over my concerns yet. They come in peace.
That I sent you guys, you can see that at first before I zoom in on it, because when I zoom in, it gets all blurry. And it looks.
By the way, what's up, G. Will? Mike Levin, thanks for coming in.
Looks like it's changing shapes, but it really isn't. But if you look really closely, you'll see how there's a thing spinning around it, and so I don't know what. Mine didn't look like a plane at all, and I saw like 30 of them all together.
30.
Yeah, that thing right there was the first one. I believe that was the first one. And when it scooches in, you can sort of see that? You can sort of see there's something spinning around it.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's hooked to it. It's like a ring.
It's
that's
so
on it.
hard at night to video these things. I mean, that's the thing. It's
Yeah.
like no matter, it looks so distinctive in person. And then you look at the video, even with our new iPhones, it's just, you can't really capture it. But are you sure it wasn't a plane, Scott? Because sometimes it's hard to tell.
Positive. I think all three of your guests tonight, we're all professional observers, and that's one of the things that we check out. What does it sound like? What does it look like? What is it doing? What does it sound like? And that had no sound at all. And there were, at one point, there were 5 when I after I saw this one, and there were 3 up in the by themselves, and there were 2 ahead of it that came past those, and then as they went on, the other 3 started following that one. Then they.
And that's a pattern that Ryan Graves was talking about with those orbs that he spotted, the Tic Tac UFO. I don't remember what year it was, 2014 maybe. They would fall into formation once we started trying to get closer to figure out what it is, and they would take off at speeds that I think he flew a Hornet. He said it couldn't even come close to catching these things. It was really interesting. They would go from sitting still to Mach whatever. I'm not familiar with Air Force terms, but it's really interesting that these ones are falling into formation because again, that is acting like drones. Also, I'll go over my concerns with this in a little bit.
They split up, and then I got video of where there's one there in different sections of the front yard and the backyard.
What sucks? You need a telescope to get a good image of something, but even with a telescope, it has to be a still image. I can't tell you how many nights I've tried to get really good footage of the moon when I'm out camping with my wife and my son, and it just does not do any justice. The newest iPhone, the newest Android, none of them do it any justice. And then there was a Samsung came out with this supposed phone that could capture all the details in the moon, and they found out it was just AI. It was creating the image. So there's really nothing that can get good footage at night. So, we look back at the day, 80s, 70s, 60s, and we would try to get good footage using Polaroids and using regular cameras, and everyone would say, well, why don't they just take a picture? Well, we still can't get good pictures. Andre Dub.
You could see them through the trees. But these were completely different than what you guys were seeing. These are completely different.
They keep saying there's no threat to the public. I mean, you've seen them for yourself. You don't seem satisfied with that response.
All due respect, Brian, to the security advisor, it's tone deaf. It's insulting. I know a bunch of state legislatures and sheriffs here in New Jersey who would be happy to talk to him. The Ocean County Sheriff told me a story yesterday that over the weekend there was one of his officers was on the beach, called 911, reported seeing 50 drones come off the ocean inland. They called everybody, the FBI, the Coast Guard, whatever. The Coast Guard went out to investigate, told them they had 13 drones following them in. This is documented stuff. This isn't just like, Bill down the street is calling this in and nobody's verifying these things. These are real people, like police officers. This is happening. So they need to get, they should be scrambling something up here, figure it out. I'm surprised they haven't put a plane up just to say, here's what we've done. But to see no response, no federal response is truly upsetting. And the longer this goes on, as I mentioned before, somebody's just going to take matters into their own hands and just, now that Trump is saying what he's saying, they're going to do it. They're going to.
And what Trump is saying is that they know what it is, which, it has to be the case. There's only 2 real options. They know what it is or they don't know what it is. I believe they know what it is, which is why they're not saying anything. It's scary to think that they don't know what they are, because then what are we doing? Why aren't we doing anything? I believe in transparency unless it's legitimate national security risks. I don't see why they wouldn't just say what this is. All it's going to do is breed tons and tons of conspiracy theories. And we're going to be, they're just going to get crazier and crazier and crazier. Next thing you know, we're going to be talking about UFOs. That's already a talk. But We don't. So Phoenix Rising, great question. The United States is really, 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 really far behind in this technology. Now, China has been, they're so far ahead of us. I don't know if we're able to catch up with them on drone technology. If you watch, they've been working on this stuff to the point where they have those synchronized, it's almost like a fireworks show with drones. Disney tried to do them. Andre. Disney has been trying to do that, and they have some really cool displays. Some people got hurt over last weekend, I believe it was, or sometime this week. A little kid got hit by the drones. We don't have it down like China does, the technology. And if we do, we sure aren't showing that. We have supplied Ukraine with drones, but they're kamikaze drones. So they're not really there to Andre's crazy. We're behind on these capabilities. We're following strict FAA rules that other countries aren't. So they're able to develop these things and actually test these things. They did this giant, huge show in China for pandas or something like that. It was really, really cool to look at. But we're not there. We're not there. We're not there. All right. Andre says, I'll say this. If UFOs existed, we would have sent them for an He offers nothing.
Take a rifle and shoot one of these things.
Yeah, and I mean, look, with video and phones and social media, you can't just say, oh, nothing to see here anymore. The government can't really get away with that anymore. I mean, clearly everybody's seeing it. I'm just curious, Rich. I'm looking at your video.
And he says that, he says that, but this administration has been doing this the entire time. They did it with the president. They just hit him. There's nothing to see here. When he broke his leg, there's nothing to see here. Oh, he was showering with his dog. Then it turned into, he was showering, then he got out, and his dog was doing something, and then he fell and broke his foot. Like, no, he's sharp. He's really sharp. He's the one making all these decisions. They did it with him. There's nothing to see here. Don't believe your lion eyes. Kamala Harris was brilliant. Really great speech. She's an orator. She's Obama 2.0. And we saw what happened when Biden did the debate. This is why I tell people I lean to the right. I don't like lying to people or even misleading them. I don't want people to think that I'm coming from a neutral place. On this topic, I am, but I don't want people to think I'm always coming from a neutral place. I let them know this is where I'm coming from, so if I end up here, there could be some bias involved. Because people get mad when they find out, hey, wait a minute, I thought this guy was neutral. Look, what is this? And we're seeing it with all the news sources. They're falling apart. They're completely falling apart because they're biased. They've shown their hand. So when the reality hits, people get upset. And that's what we're seeing right now. The Biden administration is nothing to see here. It's just planes. Don't worry about it. Oh, there's just people playing on regular drones. Okay, what about the one that this flew past the size of a bus? That was a plane. And that's what they're doing. This is their strategy. They think it's okay, as if we're in the 1980s, 1990s, when we didn't have social media, we didn't have the electronics that we have, where they can just say, no. There's nothing to see here. Area 50, what? Ooh, nah.
Again, it's such good video you got, but you can see the blinking on it almost looks like wings, almost like a plane would, which makes me think, do you think based on what you saw, these are some kind of military drone, some kind of technology that, because, with UFOs that we've covered, this looks like man-made, maybe, I could say, from what I'm seeing, although it's blurry. I mean, is that the sense that you got?
I hope so, Brian. That thought went through my mind, and there is some sort of hope in my brain that this is a secret military operation that at a base near here, and they're calling it red teaming, where they're coming out to test for lapses in our security and where we would be at fault. I hope that that's the solution, or that's what we find out in a week or 2 weeks. If we don't find that out, if it's not our military, it's worse. It's like it's a scary scenario if it's not our military.
Right.
Why wouldn't they just say it's us? We're doing operations. Don't worry about it. I think 97% of people would be like, oh, okay, whatever. Why don't they just do that? Why act like you're confused and you don't know, and we'll let you know if we find out what these things are. And we have no reason to believe that they're dangerous. We have to wait until they start killing people. Then we'll know. And then we'll let you know. What, the body count? What are we doing?
If it's something from another country. What do you think, Dr. Ramsland?
I'm frustrated with the government response because you can't say we don't know what it is and also say it's not a threat.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what it is, you don't know that. And who knows if it's a future threat? They might be gathering intel that will come back on us eventually.
One thing I will say is they're not gathering intel to come back on us eventually, because that's what the balloons are for. This is phase 2. Phase 3 could be the not a threat, but could be the result of this, of allowing this, whatever this is.
And it could be a matter of national security. Why can't they act on that alone? That's potentially, it is a threat. And just rope one of those things in, take a net up there and a helicopter or something. They're not that far away from us. They're not way up in the sky. They can fly pretty low quite often.
A major response from authorities that could be related to an incident involving a drone. It is happening in Hillsborough, New Jersey. Fox 5's Stephanie Bertini is live from that scene. Stephanie, obviously so much frustration about what is even happening in the skies above us. So this might be a big answer.
Yeah, Bianca, I talked to several people who tell us they heard a drone crash somewhere behind where I'm standing. We're working to get that information confirmed with officials. Our chopper has been flying over the area this morning. Here's some video. We're showing you that view from above. We're in a shopping plaza in Hillsborough, just off Route 206. First responders have been here all morning, including Hillsborough police. A lot of onlookers. I talked to one woman who says her concerns are growing, calling all the recent drone activity very bizarre. She says she heard the drone crash happened overnight here, but she says that she's seen several, what she believes are drones anyway, flying around her home. She says she lives not too far from where we're live right now. Now, we've reported on these drone concerns in New Jersey. Some experts have said the sightings could very well be lawfully manned aircrafts today. We're hearing from officials on Staten Island about the same topic. Take a listen.
You know, there's a saying that we had after 9/11: if you see something, say something. I think that's become, if you see something, don't worry about it, because we saw it too.
Yep.
And the people of Staten Island deserve answers. The people of this city and state and region deserve answers of what the heck is going on.
So we've heard from the FBI, and the FBI says there's no reason to believe that these recent possible drone sightings pose a national security threat. Now, in terms of what we're getting from local officials, we're being told we're going to get an update this afternoon at some point, Bianca, in terms of what they've been looking at here. Back to you inside.
Yeah, it's so interesting because they say it poses no threat, but they can't tell you what it is.
Never got that update. Never got that update. What was it? I know it was a drone. What was it doing? What was it recording? How did it crash? Where is it from? Is it ours? It's most likely ours. If not, this is a problem.
As drones operating for hours in restricted airspace and able to elude local law enforcement when they send their own drones up to give chase. In New Jersey, the Army reporting the Picatinny Arsenal has had 11 unauthorized drone incursions in the last month.
Look what's back again. Same spot as last night.
The minute you get eyes on them, they go dark. This is something we're taking deadly seriously.
For weeks now, the drones have been spotted over homes, critical infrastructure, and sensitive government sites. Today, frustrated lawmakers have gone from asking questions to demanding answers.
New Jersey can't become the Wild West of drone activity. No state can become the Wild West of drone activity. I've made this very clear to the FBI, to Homeland Security, and the FAA, the agencies chiefly responsible for monitoring drone activity. They must immediately disclose more information to the public. It's totally and completely unacceptable that you have all this drone activity going on, that people are seeing with their own eyes. The fact that the federal agencies responsible for briefing the public have not come forward in a clear way is unacceptable. There has to be some explanation to the public for all this increased activity, and they must do so now.
Why can't they just say, we are doing stuff over our military base, we're running exercises? Why can't they just say that? We see it all the time with planes in Vegas, New Mexico. We see it all the time. In California, definitely, we would see it. But we would know what it is. And if we didn't know what it is, you'd hear something on the radio saying, hey, this is what this is. And that's it. Move on. They're not saying that. This is a problem. Biden promised transparency, and this is the exact opposite. And it's starting to scare elected officials. Why does our government have to demand answers from our government? Our direct representatives, the ones we sent to DC, are saying, hey, we need to know what's going on. Why? Because they represent me, you, everybody in the chat. They represent us. And our government is saying no to our government. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on, but don't worry, it's not dangerous. You could say that about a black widow spider. Don't worry about it. It's nothing. Then when it bites you, it's too late. What are we doing?
Authorities in New Jersey tell me that they have had reports and sightings every single night except Thanksgiving, which is interesting. But the possibilities are foreign actors gathering intelligence, possibly on military locations. Could that be Russia? Could that be China? Could that be Iran? We've seen those kinds of things before. If you recall, almost 2 years ago, we had that Chinese military balloon that crossed across the United States with camera equipment and high-resolution equipment on board. Could it be drone enthusiasts who are playing some kind of aerial game? Could it be U.S. government doing a red team exercise against air bases to test their response to drone incursions? Right now, what the White House is saying is that they have no evidence to believe it's a threat to public safety or aviation, no evidence to say that it is foreign, but they don't say what they think it is.
There is a military installation in the area, Picatinny Arsenal in northern New Jersey, and I talked to one of their people yesterday, and they told me they had sightings, confirmed sightings, they described it, back on November 13th. Obviously, we're here a month later. Are you surprised that either the government at the state level, local, or even federal hasn't come out with a reason as to why these drone sightings are happening?
And Toby, they said one was size of a bus. 15 feet was another one. 6 feet, car size. Don't worry, it's nothing. Nah, don't worry about it. What is it? I don't know. Don't worry about it. So, all right, I'm gonna wait.
No, because we've seen this before. We had a very similar set of incidents late in 2023. Interestingly, and not necessarily related, but coincidentally, yesterday, the Justice Department announced federal charges against a Chinese national who was arrested in Santa Barbara County for launching a drone over a Space Force base, which was taking pictures. And in their search warrants, they found out he had been researching the base and researching the rules and talking to other people about could he jailbreak the drone to make it fly higher. And
that's a Chinese spy. They're assuming he's a spy. He was arrested. He was flying a drone over a military base, another military base, kind of like the balloons did, and we didn't do anything about it. So I guess he figured, let's see what happens with this drone.
Be less detectable as it went over the base. So, we know that there are people who do surveillance on military locations. We also know that there are drone enthusiasts who fly all over the place.
Not what this is.
And we're really, you've got 110 mayors in New Jersey and a lot of people who have sightings, and a federal statement that came out yesterday saying that we think a lot of those are just regular airplanes and people are making mistakes,
No, it's
which
insulting.
could be true in some of the cases, but it's doubtful it's true in all of the cases. And frankly, it's offended some of the officials in New Jersey
As it
who
should.
have concerns about this and are being told nothing to see here, move on.
There have been repeated drone sightings in the Northeast, especially in New Jersey. These are not small drones, some of them pretty large. They're flying at low altitudes, they're flying in flocks. Has the president been briefed on this situation?
So we are certainly aware, the president is aware. So we're closely tracking the activity and coordinating closely with relevant agency, including DHS and FBI, to continue to investigate these incidents. Don't have anything beyond that to share. Obviously, this is something that DHS and FBI are tracking very, very closely, and so I would have to refer you to them directly, but aware. Keeping an eye out and looking into the incidents that you just mentioned.
Still though, but has the federal government ruled out that these are controlled by foreign entities?
Yeah.
And do you know if they're conducting surveillance over these
So I
areas?
cannot make any kind of predictions or comments about that specifically from here. This is something that DHS is looking at and FBI, so I would have to refer you to them. I don't have anything beyond that. We're tracking this very closely. Obviously, we're all aware of the incidents that have been reported. I'm not going to go into what they could be or could not be from here. That is something that obviously is being looked at as those respective agencies that I mentioned.
When was the president briefed on this?
I don't have a timeline, but he certainly has been made aware of this.
And
his
the New Jersey
up-to-date.
governor said, it's frustrating that there aren't answers about where these are coming from, that people are very concerned about this. What's the White House message to the people up there who are frustrated that there isn't any information right now?
And obviously, we hear them and we understand that. We are closely tracking this. We are monitoring the incidents that have been put forward and certainly made public. And we have two agencies that I've already mentioned that are looking into this, working closely with folks on the ground, trying to get to the bottom of it. I don't have anything more to share beyond that.
By looking at it, I think they literally mean they're just staring at them. 'Cause would they be looking for weak spots on the base? If you're allowed to fly them over military bases, then that's a giant weak spot. It's all a weak spot because we're not doing anything about it. Yes, that's exactly what it is. They've already found the weak spots. It's a certain altitude over the airport with drones or balloons. And apparently the US government will do nothing about it. And they'll blame the FAA. They'll say, well, legally we can't really do anything about these. We need to pass more laws. Then we can tell you guys what's going on. I'll save it till after this.
I have to agree with my colleagues. The fact that we continue to say that we don't know what they are, we don't know what they're doing. I mean, the American people are looking at us and they think that we're lying to them because they think, how could you possibly not have answers to drones flying over some of the most critical airspace in the country? So, I mean, if we're expecting the American people to believe in the information that we're giving them, I think we do need to do better. And that's none of your fault. I mean, the fact that there's only $500,000 in drone expenditures appropriations. I mean, that's absolutely insane. And I hope that it's something that my colleagues work on. But as many has already pointed out, drones continue to rapidly advance and become more readily available. Along with the expansion, threats from drones being used by bad actors have only increased, as all of you have mentioned. Right now, counter-UAS authorities are restricted from local law enforcement agencies, leaving it largely in the hands of federal agencies. So, Mr. Wigman or Mr. Wheeler, very simple questions. Do federal agencies have the ability to assist local law enforcement agencies with their counter-UAS capabilities everywhere and every time it's needed?
Not today. That's what we're seeking from the Congress.
What is the current impact of local law enforcement not having these authorities?
I think all of us on the panel share your view that we need to do more and more resources. If we do get the authorities, we will certainly need more resources. Even if state and locals are doing it, that will require training and additional work and approval on our end. So more resources, more authorities, those are all things that we would support.
More resources being more money. If you heard, they said they've allocated $500,000 into this area of security, which is drones. Whatever's going on, do you think the people doing this would know that? Because it seems like they know this. $500,000 is invested in what drone defense, essentially. We have no drone defense. That's what the bottom line is. And you're going to hear right now the budget, the defense budget. I think it's just the FBI. And I pay attention to how much money he says that they have versus how much they actually use for something like what's happening right now over New Jersey, New York, parts of California, Oklahoma. What are we doing?
I got an article right here, mystery drone spotted over New York, New Jersey, prompt calls for federal investigation. I believe this was Breitbart News. I want to start with you, Mr. Wheeler from the FBI. What can you tell us about what you guys do know?
So the public reports and what we have from eyewitness sightings, some of those very credible police personnel and others are what we describe as unidentified drones. We do not know the particular specifics of what those drones are. Some are described as being slightly larger than a commercial available drone.
Slightly.
Fixed wing as well as rotary. We have helped analyze with our partners video and pictures of what those look like, what have been submitted. Part of that is these over 3,000 tips from the public and to look at that. But as I previously stated, we don't know the people responsible behind that.
How?
And that's what we're working on. My budget that would specifically include the technology that we use.
Is it 500,000?
It's 500,000.
What? That doesn't seem nearly adequate. Why do you feel like there isn't a push within the FBI to keep up with modern warfare and modern threats?
So
what is the budget for the FBI right now?
Here we go.
Roughly $11 billion.
So they get $11 billion a year, and they use $500,000 for what's happening right now. And that's why what's happening right now is happening right now, and why we don't know anything. Or they're saying we don't know anything. I believe we do know exactly what's going on. Roughly $11 billion, roughly $11 billion, and $500,000 is spent on detecting this kind of stuff and monitoring and increasing our capabilities.
Okay, why do you think as warfare changes, and as you know, sir, warfare is changing drastically right now overseas, especially with Ukraine and Russia and the development of drone technology, why isn't the FBI taking this threat more seriously? And that's
What's interesting is Russia has the ability to shoot these things down because Ukraine is using these attack drones, these kamikaze drones, and Russia is shooting them down. Even Russia knows how to defend against these things. I actually have a clip I want to show you guys. This is my biggest concern, and as soon as this story broke, this is the only thing I can think of. I'm going to skip over Mayorkas. I can't look at his face. But I want to fast forward to a movie. To let people. Oh, this guy's. Ugh. I can't stand this guy. I put this together, but I really wanted to go to this movie clip. Just so you guys understand how dangerous this is. God, I can't stand him. Sorry, let me get to it right here. It's a movie. It's called Angel Has Fallen, I believe. Really, really cool movie. Sensational, but it's still a cool movie. Come on, what's going on? How far? If you haven't seen Angel Has Fallen, it's really cool. But this is the beginning, I believe, or is it on here? Yeah, he looks and acts, and he's got the brains of Mr. Magoo. Oh, I can't stand this guy. Yeah, I was gonna play this, and I couldn't. Here we go. Here we go. Angel Has Fallen. This is a point in the movie, and this is my concern with drones, because the technology is there. We just don't put money into it. Other countries are putting money into it. But just look at this short scene, and I want you guys to see why I'm concerned. Because they keep saying, we have no reason to believe this is a threat. But literally, in a movie, you can see the actual threat.
And take appropriate action.
Yeah. Okay. These are drones.
The drones! Mark, come with me. Get him under the ballistic hard cover. Keep him down. I'm on my way.
This is the capability of drones. And this shows how hard it would be to stop something like this from happening. Again, this is a movie, but these are drones. These are drones. This to me is the threat. It's not whether or not we can figure out what this is, but just look at this.
Don't move! They're tracking us somehow! Just hold still and keep them covered first!
So, in reality, how do we stop something like that? We have to get technology that can stop the ability to control drones when they're doing something like that. Because that is a serious threat. Anyone who thinks that that's not within the realm of reality does not know what's going on in Ukraine. That's what they're doing to Russia right now. That's what we're doing. We have people with essentially Xbox controllers controlling hordes of drones, and they're blowing up things in Russia. It's totally capable. It's dangerous. And every time I hear them say, we have no reason to believe because nothing like that's happened yet. That's an unacceptable answer. Those answers are unacceptable. What does that say? I have my CDL, but I graduated from college for aviation. Building aircraft engines. Oh, cool. Very cool. FAA. They lie a lot. Well, they restrict a lot also. And supposedly that's the reason why we're not where we should be. That and probably only having a $500,000 budget out of 11 billion. It's probably the bigger reason, but I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
Obviously reflected by the budget that you guys have assigned to counter drone technology.
They allocated it.
I have a limited capability that is embedded within our emerging threats unit for surveillance issues. That allocation of resources, that research, that operational deployment of our capability is what we have today. I would imagine that this would grow over time.
What do you think that some of these terrorist cells that might be in the country right now, or maybe even outside of our borders, what do you think that they're looking at when they see a hearing like this and they see that you guys still, after almost a month, don't know who these drones are? What do you think that they're thinking?
So I would be measured in how we speak about our capability and what our limitations and capacity is. However, I'll say to you that it's not as good as I wish it was, and we'll continue to work to make it better.
Yeah, well, when you're only spending $500,000 a year, it's probably not going to be very good, is it?
The only thing I would say about that is that this is an enterprise-wide problem. It's not just a technological problem. That most of that $11 billion budget for the FBI gets after threats to Americans, this being one of them. and the way we apply resources, personnel, operational, all of that to include technology to get after a threat that would threaten American lives. I don't think that $500,000 for the technology part of it adequately captures our commitment to protecting Americans.
My district, a number of constituents have seen them over a power plant in Brooklyn. They were coming over the Verrazano Bridge, and I will remind everyone or explain to everyone here that Verrazano Bridge connects Staten Island and Brooklyn, and on the Staten Island side you have Fort Wadsworth, which is a U.S. Coast Guard sector New York base, and then in the Brooklyn side, right on the other side of the Verrazano Bridge, you have Fort Hamilton, which is a U.S. Army installation. And so it is very concerning to me that we have these objects. We're not sure if they're drones or unmanned aircrafts, but they are flying over sensitive infrastructure and facilities. And the fact that we don't know what they are or who's behind them or what they're doing is very concerning to me, particularly in a post-Chinese spy balloon world. Okay, the fact that this administration allowed for a Chinese spy balloon to go across the country over multiple military installations is very concerning, and that we could potentially be having this happen again it's like astounding to me that this is even happening without any type of intervention. You say it's no known threat, but is there still a possibility of there being a threat? At the end of the day, that's what my constituents want to know.
There has to be.
Yes, I am cognizant, and we all are in the FBI, of what this threat can look like. Anyway, across the spectrum of sophisticated state actors, adversaries that want to hurt us, all the way through counterterrorism matters, cyber, WMD, criminal, all the way down to a nuisance drone that could cause harm. So that's the wide spectrum that concerns me every day.
Okay.
I've just mentioned it concerns me that we don't know the answer to your question yet.
And are you working with the Pentagon, with FAA, with DHS, with your partners to try to identify this? Because I don't put it all on just the FBI. I think this is, what is Homeland Security doing? Do you have any idea? Have you?
I wouldn't speak for another department, but I will say that the way we do business is extremely collaborative in the interagency, and especially with our state and local partners.
So who is taking the lead here on this particular issue to identify these drones and aircrafts?
Well, we have an investigation open predicated on a idea that there's unsafe operation in the airspace, which is a federal violation that we have some jurisdiction for. But it would help us know sort of what lane this falls in when we know the people that are responsible and what this is all about, to your point earlier. And we're actively investigating and would like to answer those questions, but I don't have a better answer.
And what if they were carrying chemical weapons or something? We just don't, this could be a much worse conversation we could be having right now, because these things have been flying all over New York, New Jersey, over military installations. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, but these agencies need to figure it out and try to get to the bottom of what's going on. I think it's very concerning. Is there a possibility, if hopefully it is not a threat, is it a possibility it would fall under this System Assessment and Validation of Emergency Responders Program, the SAVER program? This is a program under Department of Homeland Security, Science and Technology, where they are testing various technology for search and rescue, disaster response, and it could be part of a law enforcement assessment. You think that's a possibility? Because my Army base doesn't know about it. My NYPD doesn't know about it. So I guess my question is, why wouldn't the local authorities know if this was part of a testing of security technologies for first responders?
And this is why I covered the balloon stuff earlier, because at the tail end of that, what I was talking about, the balloons, when I showed the balloons, that general said that this is what happens. The branches don't communicate well enough, not as good as he would like. So you just heard an FBI official say that they're doing an investigation to find out whose jurisdiction it is, which means Department of Homeland Security, FAA, they're all doing their own investigations right now. Instead of working together to say, okay, let's get our best people on this and figure out what this is. They're all doing their own individual investigations to figure out who should be investigated. They're not working together. So even when she asked him, why aren't you guys working together? He said, well, we have our own interagency community. We have great communication within ourselves. Because technically, even though this is over American soil, the CIA should be involved also. They're about foreign threats. They're not supposed to operate on American soil, not supposed to operate on American soil, but they are to stunt and even stop direct threats to this country. There are several agencies that should be working together to figure this out if they don't know what it is already. But they're all battling, not even battling, they're all doing their own thing to figure out who should be doing their own thing. That's insane. It's insanity.
So I don't know that to be the case,
Okay.
and I couldn't really comment on that.
Okay, well, and just again, I would love to speak to you offline at some point and maybe share some information with you.
I wanna know
But I would
now.
really just urge if you could speak to your colleagues and counterparts in these other departments, and because we need to get to the bottom of what's going on here.
She's a New York elected official saying that her Army base did not know, or they don't know what's going on. Her police department, NYPD, does not know what's going on. She named another agency, I think she said National Guard, and a power plant. All had drones flying over them. And none of them know what this is about. So if it is us, why does no one else know about it? Why aren't they communicating with all these other agencies? All they got to do is tell them. It could still be a secret. Just tell them. Absolutely a waste of resources. They should be working together. This is insane. How you doing, Ms. Genesis?
And if it is something that is not nefarious and is one of part of these public safety applications that are being tested, they need to coordinate with the local authorities. So my guys in New York NYPD, they know that it's not a threat.
And so that the NYPD doesn't have to call 911 because they see 50 drones flying over them. Like, they could be part of this effort to say, hey, everybody, don't worry. We've been briefed. Instead, nobody's speaking. No communication. This is exactly the problem that happened with the balloons. They didn't communicate with each other. They just watched it, sat back and watched it. 7 days that thing was over this country. Went over several, I think I said six military installations in this country. And now here we are. That was in January 2023. Here we are at the end of 2024, and the exact same thing is happening, only there's more, and it's worse, and they're at a lower altitude. And they're over more bases. What are we doing?
I would agree.
So last night I was on the beach in Island State Park in Ocean County with the sheriff. He has been working it every single night. He's got his own.
Okay, another government official was with a sheriff. Listen to this story. It's an elected official, and he's at the beach with a sheriff, and they don't know what's going on. Listen to this story.
Tethered drones chronicling one of his officers 2 nights ago saw 50 drones come in off the ocean right there. So we thought maybe they'll replicate it. They didn't, but we thought it was a possibility. Last night we had a number of other people there, including a commanding officer from the Coast Guard, who said that one of their 47-foot motor lifeboats was followed by between 12 and 30 of these drones as they went through the water, followed right behind them. And I said, what's the rules of engagement? I mean, you do it if you're fighting against a narco trafficker or something. And they said, we don't know, we don't have any. So I did reach out to the commanding officer at the Joint Base, which is also in my district, and talked to him, had a very good conversation, Colonel Anthony Smith, Joint Base Fort Dix McGuire in the 87th Air Wing, Air Base Wing today. And I said, I know you have the capability, you've put out press releases, to identify and bring down drones. Why can't you deploy them at least to the ocean. Bring one of these down, find out who's doing it. They have the capability. They said, well, we don't have the authority, only within the parameters of our base. Well, there's a national interest here. Our jets fly over the ocean all the time for training, so that perimeter is larger. So I did write Secretary Lloyd Austin asking that capability that may be sitting in a closet somewhere, I know they use it all the time, but bring it out. And I'm not saying you got to share it with the sheriffs. It'd be nice. Just do it yourself in the interest of the American public. So I would ask if you would echo that request. I mean, DOD's got the capability, and maybe Homeland Security does as well. When we had a Zoom meeting with Secretary Mayorkas, our governor put it together, and I appreciated that. But I asked them, why can't we just track where they go to? Seemingly they're going out to sea, to something, a ship. We don't know for sure, but they come in off the ocean.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and two others.
What's interesting about that is where they're coming from, how long these things are in the air. There was a report that some of them are staying up there for like 5 hours. That is not regular drone technology. It's just not. We don't have anything that can do that. Not the gas-powered ones, not the electric ones. They need to be charged. 5 hours coming off the ocean, off the Atlantic? What are we doing? How do none of these government officials know about this? The FBI, he did not do the old cannot confirm nor deny. He just said, no, we don't know what it is. So either he's lying under oath or he legitimately does not know. Maybe he wasn't briefed. I don't know. I just know this communication is awful. And here we are. Chuck Schumer, of all people, is saying, what are we doing? We need to do something about this.
Senators wrote a letter calling for a briefing with the FBI and Homeland Security. Well, in Connecticut, Senator Richard Blumenthal says the devices should be shot down if they can't be identified.
Shoot them down.
And we've learned that House Speaker Mike Johnson did get a federal briefing on the sightings, as have Senate staffers in a few select offices. But other than that, there's been very little transparency. So what's going on? Is this some contagious mass hysteria? Or are people really seeing something that our government cannot identify?
Or will not.
Our own Rich McHugh went out drone hunting in New Jersey. He did not come back empty-handed. Rich, tell us what you saw.
Hi, Elizabeth. Well, I got to be honest here. You know, when this story first came out a few weeks ago, as a resident of New Jersey, as a journalist, I didn't pay it much credence. I thought it would turn out to be a bunch of pranksters and this would all be over by now. The experience I had last night, however, changed the way I feel about this story completely. What I saw was more sophisticated than I ever imagined. Take a look.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 lights, 6 lights.
I didn't believe what I was seeing, but what was I seeing? We're here in central Jersey. We've been looking for the past hour. I think we've seen about 40 or 50 of these drones. In fact, there's one over my shoulder right there. One after another, after another.
Hey, everyone. My name is John Ferguson.
So this guy is probably going to give the scariest scenario, but also the most likely scenario, which is not good news. We'll listen to him.
I'm the CEO of Saxon Aerospace here in Wichita, Kansas. But I'm a manufacturer of unmanned aircraft, military-grade unmanned aircraft, as you can see one of my systems here. There's all of these mysterious drones going on off the East Coast, and as a professional, as a subject matter expert, I wanted to give you all my opinion on what I think could be going on with these drones. There's no reason for a drone to be flying at night.
Nope.
You know, unless you have thermal optics, drones really don't see stuff. You need to do mapping during the day. If you're going to do farming stuff, you mostly do it during the day. The only reason why you would ever fly an aircraft, an unmanned aircraft at night, is if you're looking for something, whether it be a person or trying to smell gas. We have methane gas detection systems. that can detect gas leaks in pipelines. You really wouldn't use thermal optics for trying to find gas leaks, just simply because the only way you're actually going to find a gas leak with thermal optics is if the gas leak is aggressive enough that it has a difference in temperature. Because thermal imaging, it creates a digital image based off of the temperature variance. So whatever is different in temperature, it creates an image. Usually gas leaks so slow that it goes quickly into ambient before you can even see it. So we have special sensors that can detect gas leaks. We also have special sensors that can detect radioactive material. If they are our drones, the only reason why they would be flying and flying that low is because they're trying to smell something on the ground. That's it. There's no other reason for a drone to be flying in the air other than to piss a bunch of people off at night. That's it. So, my belief is they're trying to smell something on the ground. Gas leaks, radioactive material, whatever. I believe that they're actually out there trying to smell something that's very important.
Governor Phil Murphy says the drone.
So something he said, that was a very long video that he did. But something he said was that there was a nuclear, or there were several, I think there was 7 or 11 nuclear warheads that were lost. And he believes that there's a good chance that they have reason to believe that one of them is in the New Jersey area, somewhere in that state. And he believes they are doing exactly what Oliver Green said. They're trying to find a nuclear warhead, which is terrifying to think about, because that would mean they can't say anything, because they would literally cause mass panic. The whole state would probably try to evacuate all at once. Mass chaos. That's what he said. Now, there's no way to confirm. So he told a story that he knows somebody who knew that a nuclear warhead was coming in, and he was trying to sound the alarm, but nobody listened to him, which is hard to believe. But if it's true, maybe they are looking for a nuclear warhead, which would explain why they're hovering so low, why it's nonstop, why it's so important, and why they can't say anything. Because if that's the case, they're looking for a nuclear warhead that could literally take out the state. It makes sense. But that is a terrifying thought. That our borders are so unsecured that somehow this thing got into this country and we don't know where it is, and now they have to use these drones to try and detect a nuclear warhead. And then that's the only thing that makes sense. Other than it's another country that's literally just spying. Yeah. Not only would the chaos happen, but Biden would be out of office that day, because he wouldn't be able to answer as to how that could happen. And it would probably be the first time we ever watched actual bureaucrats all get fired at once. Because that means you put us at risk. While you're chasing Trump, trying to arrest him for ridiculous things in New York and Georgia and Florida, you mean to tell me you allowed a nuke to get through that's not ours, that we can't control? Yeah, that would be it. But just imagine saying that to 350 million Americans. Hey, we kind of lost a nuke. That's what all those drones are about. Can't say it. Can't admit to it. Makes perfect sense. Terrifying all at once.
Drone detection equipment they received from the federal government isn't doing much to help them find out why the mystery aircraft have been seen in his state. The FAA implemented a temporary ban on drones in parts of New Jersey and New York until mid-January.
So the detection stuff that we do have and the capabilities that we do have aren't working on these drones. Or, again, they're just not saying that they're working. Which one's most likely? It's most likely right now that there is a potential catastrophe just waiting to happen, and we have hundreds and hundreds of drones, up to the tune of 180 that we can see every day over New York, DC, Jersey, and for some reason down in Oklahoma. Every day. That means there are hundreds and hundreds and thousands of these things flying around looking for something, trying to smell something. That makes sense to me.
In the meantime, the federal government says the drones do not pose a public threat. The Pentagon also saying they are not U.S. military or from any known enemies.
So if they're not U.S. military, then they just hired a bunch of private contractors to look for a nuke. I need you to think about what that means. Because that would also start a war. We would try. This could be the beginning of World War III. Because if somebody detonated that over in New Jersey and you wiped out 11 million people or however many people are there, we have to respond to something somewhere, somebody. That's 1,000 times worse than 9/11. We've been talking about going at Iran. We really don't like Russia, so we can blame somebody. This is terrifying, in my opinion. Well, not in my opinion. It's terrifying no matter who thinks about it this way. If this is true, this is a catastrophe waiting to happen. And our idiot president is just sitting there with a smile on his face, completely clueless because he's not sentient. He has no idea what's going on. We have unelected officials running this government who know what's going on, but they don't tell him because he doesn't know. He wouldn't be able to respond if they did tell him. Oh, what? This is the potential danger that the entire world is in right now. While we sit here and not react, and at least if we said, hey, we're running these games, it would send a message to the rest of the world that we know what's going on. And instead, right now, North Korea is doing this. China is doing this. Russia is just smiling, laughing at us. Iran is... But we're sitting here telling the world we don't know what's going on. We have no idea. Donald Trump has been briefed on this. I have what he has to say towards the end. He doesn't seem as concerned, but he is concerned. We'll see.
Yet there's little information regarding who is behind them. Joining me now is Brad Crispin, co-founder of the Americans for Safe Aerospace. Brad, there's a whole lot of what it isn't, but nobody's telling us what it is. Drone sightings have been reported since mid-November, yet still no clear-cut answers. The public is frustrated. People are getting frustrated. Do you think people will lose interest the longer they have to wait for answers or become more frustrated?
No, I think momentum and frustration is building on this issue, Nick. I think you said it exactly right. There have been thousands of reports from concerned citizens. While some of those are misidentifications, that's not the key story here. The key story is that this incident reveals major vulnerability in our airspace. It reveals major vulnerability in our critical infrastructure, and a percentage of what people are seeing is truly concerning. There were overflights of Picatinny Arsenal
Virginia,
and the
Ohio,
Trump golf course
Minnesota.
that probably sparked this incident. And it's a years running pattern of mysterious overflights of military.
So I did these in chronological order. So this is the most recent stuff. These would have been early this week. So now there's Florida, Minnesota, California, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, New York, Jersey, Connecticut, Delaware, Maryland. Well, Maryland's Baltimore, DC, that's all the same thing. Do you see how insane this is and how important this story is? If this is the case, if this isn't the case, this is still the most important story because our government has no idea what's going on. That makes it that almost as bad. I would prefer that they knew what was going on and it was so scary they don't want to tell us. than have them keep telling us we don't know what's going on, but it's safe. Don't worry. These detections are all over the country now. I could have sworn I heard Oklahoma. That may have been more recent than this news story.
Military bases and in military training ranges by unidentified objects. And pilots are concerned. Members of the Senate Intelligence and Armed Services Committee have concerned, and they've been raising the warning for years.
We just saw a crash. Where was that? A plane crash, and they believe it was caused by birds. A drone over airspace, over our regular airports like LaGuardia. Drones sitting there as a plane flies through them. We can see another crash. I think it was 100 people were on that plane, and 30-something or 40-something of them died. The plane just took off and then went down, and they didn't know what happened. That could happen legitimately outside of Hobby Airport in Houston, Bush Airport, any airport. When they take off, if there are just drones randomly out over the runways, this can happen. This story is too serious to not be getting covered non-stop with angst. Like, people should be really, really pushing on this, because it seems like the story's falling off. It's been a month. I've been trying to get on here to talk about this. It's too serious. This is really, really serious. And to not know is even scarier. But why isn't this should be wall-to-wall coverage all day, every day? They did it over O.J. Simpson trial. They did it over the Melendez trial. They did it over what's more recent ones. Like, they cover stuff wall-to-wall. But we're not doing it over these drones. These have, like, I don't know. These have nuclear. The potential of this story is the end of the world as we know it, and we're kind of the story's fading. Not over there, it's not. Boston still, or not Boston, but everywhere over there is still talking about it. The East Coast is still talking about this, but it seems to be falling away here. I'm not seeing it every day like we should be.
Tonight, the mystery deepens as drones are now spotted in at least 6 states.
By most accounts, alleged drone sightings are multiplying exponentially, with more than 5,000 reported in just the past few weeks alone. But of those 5,000, only 100 or so have generated actual law enforcement leads. George Mason University engineering professor Missy Cummings has been doing drone research for 25 years.
This lady is a paid shill, and you're about to see why. She's nuts. And anyone who would take money and say the things that she's about to say, it's the lowest of the low. She's the Fauci of what's going on right now. It's disgusting.
Of all of those options, drone is the least likely because it's actually pretty hard to pick these out of the sky.
We heard a similarly ordinary explanation when we visited New Jersey's Monmouth County Sheriff Sean Golden this past week.
The majority of these sightings, probably some type of commercial or recreational aircraft, manned aircraft.
In other words, no imminent threat.
People are
As a
insane. They're
joint
just
statement
lying.
from the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Defense, the FAA, and the FBI put it on Tuesday, we do not assess the activity to date to present a national security or public safety risk.
This is the most recent story, so this would have been Wednesday or Tuesday. That's when I stopped collecting, because I'm like, I need to go live. This presentation has gotten longer and longer and longer since this has been going on. But when I get home, I'm just so tired. I'm like, oh, I can't. But tonight, I'm like, all right, I got a little energy. I'm going to do this. It's too important to not talk about.
If you're actually looking
Listen to
at
this woman.
lights from a drone, it means that you're definitely not looking at a foreign adversary because they're sophisticated enough to turn the lights off.
This one's gonna fly over us right now.
And
That
yet,
woman.
some in the American public have been a little on edge.
And they're huge too. So I don't know what's going on.
Like they're recording people, or they're like just going around like sitting there and just looking at you?
We saw blinking, like lots of blinking things up in the sky to the south, right over the ocean.
1, 2, 3, like all coming together.
But Professor Missy Cummings says the best approach for now, we should all just try to stay grounded.
This woman I'm telling you, she is the Anthony Fauci of this. Because she's going around on this public tour telling us, it's nothing. Don't worry about it, it's nothing. You guys are seeing airplanes. These are just regular drones. All these government officials, they don't know what they're talking about. They have no idea what they're talking about. The police that have to call 911, they're idiots. It's airplanes. They have lights. Why wouldn't they just shut the lights out? That's what she just said. Now, listen to how she closes. Listen to the arrogance.
If I go on the news and tell you you have something to worry about, then you have something to worry about.
There it is. Listen to me. Take the jab. If I tell you guys, I am the authority on this topic. If I say something, then be worried. Until then, relax. Relax, guy.
But in this case right now, it's really things are operating as usual.
As usual. This is normal. It's normal. The 8,000 reports, it's normal. Don't worry about it. This is what is every day. This is what you see. Every day. It's normal. And she said it with a straight face. They should never let her on any TV ever again.
Ming says the best approach for now, we should all just try
Wait
to
for
stay
me
grounded.
to report back
If
to
I go
you.
on the news and tell you you have something to worry about, then you have something to worry about. But in this case right
There
now,
it is.
it's really things are operating as usual.
Can you comment on the drones
This is interesting because, well, listen to him.
that are flying around New Jersey ports? It seems like the American people have a big disconnect.
The government knows what is happening.
Yep.
Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows.
So when you get elected, and even actually when he was out of office, he was getting briefings on this stuff. So he knows what's going on. So he's saying they really need to just spit it out. Because people are getting frustrated, especially on the East Coast where they're seeing them. Like it's easy for me here, in Katy, Texas to say, to grow detached from the story, right? Because I don't see it every day. I'm not walking out and seeing these things flying over my house. But if you're over there, you're much more likely to be like, hey, what are we doing? What's going on? What's going on? He knows what's going on.
And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. I can't imagine it's the enemy, because if it was the enemy, they'd blast it out. Even if they were late, they'd blast it. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people, and they should, because the people are really, they happen to be over Bedminster. Want to know the truth? They're very close to Bedminster. I think maybe I won't spend the weekend in Bedminster. I've decided to cancel my trip.
Have you received an intelligence briefing on the drones?
I don't want to comment on that.
Have you been?
So former president doesn't want to comment on it. Anybody else want to comment on it? The link is pinned. I'm curious. I know Andre's not going to come up here, but I'm still going to ask. I would love to hear your evading answers. If anybody would like to talk about this, I would love to hear you guys' theories. Mine is along the lines of that guy. We know what it is. We're looking for something. It's scary to think about what we're looking for. It's not a person. And to Oliver Green's point, if it's a regular thing, why aren't they flying in the daytime? Because as the other gentleman said, drones can't see anything at night. They have to be modified. That story makes way more sense. And if it's a if you think it's a UFO type of story, and they're just trying to get people used to seeing these things, they wouldn't just do it on the coast. That was a theory I heard, and I was like, I don't know. They're getting us ready, and they're trying to make it normal to have UFOs over. Maybe they see something coming here from outer space. Maybe Space Force saw something. Maybe Elon Musk saw something, and they're trying to get us ready. And the way to do that is to just saturate us with drones everywhere. So we kind of get used to these things in the sky. So when they come, we don't freak out. That was a theory I heard. I don't subscribe to that. I think we're looking for something. That's what that gentleman said. Anybody want to give their theories? What do you think? What do you think of the government acting as if, especially that lady? Ugh. If I tell you there's a problem, then there's a problem. Until then, nothing to see here. The arrogance. And it's so insulting to hear somebody say something like that. Ugh. That woman. I don't know. But if nobody wants to come up, that's all I got for today. I had to cover it. Again, my work schedule sucks right now. It really sucks. I am up at 3:45, 3:50. I'm out the house by 4:30. I get to work 5:15 to 5:30. Then I work 10 hours. Then I drive home for an hour and a half to 2 hours. So it's a whole day. 12, 13 hours gone if I work, which is why I can't get on. When I get home, I'm usually tired. Today I got home a lot faster because it's a weekend, which is cool. And I didn't have to sit in traffic. So I was like, okay, this is going to be the day. I have to go live about this. This story is huge. And the media should be acting like it. It shouldn't be like when it first came out, it was huge. But then it's just kind of tapered off as if we're used to them now. We're just used to seeing drones fly around and hovering at very low altitudes. And it would make sense why they're going over the places that they're going over. We want to make sure there's no nuke, whether it's targeted or not, sitting near a military base. Okay, so cool. We need to look around the bases first. We need to look around the airports. Then this story makes sense. If that's not the answer, I don't know. I don't know. I would love to hear anyone's theory. What's going on, Easy Did It? What's going on? What do you think? I find it really hard to believe that they don't know what's going on. And based on these kinds of responses from Andre W., I know they know what's going on. I know for a fact that they know what's going on. My disappointment is in, are you guys going to admit it at some point, or just say we're doing we're doing operations? People will accept it's top secret, but they won't accept we don't know, and that's what we're getting right now. If you don't think they're ours, who do you think they are, Easy? I'm curious. If they're not ours, whose are they? You think they're China's? They're definitely not Iran's. I hate when I hear that. I hate that, because that's just an excuse to try and go start a whole nother conflict in the Middle East. I don't think they're Russians. I think Russia's got their focus on the right thing. They're focused on the war that they're in. They're focused on the drones that are kamikazing their tanks and their sites, and their bases. They're not thinking about flying drones here, especially not this many. To me, the only logical nation would be China. But I don't think they would do that right now, right before Trump gets in. It doesn't make sense to me. It does not make sense. I don't know, man. Who do you think it is, Easy? I've given my theories. And I base them on what makes the most sense and why they just wouldn't say we're doing A, B, or C. And why there are people literally testifying from the FBI that say they don't know. Usually you'll get non-answers. He said we don't know, which means maybe he's got some plausible deniability and he just was not briefed. And that's the perfect person to send, because he can legitimately say we don't know, and he can pass a lie detector test if they had to. Well, they can anyway, but you know what I mean. Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe the only people that they're putting forward are people who don't know, so that they can say, we don't know. I just don't know how that's possible. But if no one's going to come up, that's all I got for you guys today. I'm going to share my YouTube link so that if you're on Rumble watching, so you know it's not extraterrestrial. I hope not. That would probably be, for me, that would be the most shocking. That would be the most shocking for me. I'd be like, because that's something they should just tell us. They've been declassifying stuff for the longest now. So if you are on Rumble right now, this is my YouTube link. Subscribe over here. I'm so close to 500. So close. So close. Taste it. Smell it. You guys here, if you have Rumble, subscribe to me over there on Rumble. Technology looks too old for that. Too old for which? For extraterrestrial? I don't know. I don't know. This is my Twitter. Right here. Bam. You can follow me on there. I'll be following that stuff. I don't know what it should look like, though. What should the technology look like? I don't know. I don't know, man. It's scary to hear them say we don't know. But if you guys need any like merch, your own merch, if you guys have channels, I don't know if anybody in here has a channel, and you're looking to get merch for your own channel, STG Designs does custom apparel, embroidery, t-shirts, mugs, tumblers, sublimation. And if you want to reach out to him, as Gw.'s company. He's on IG. This is IG. Just because it takes so long, I'm not going to share everyone's links like I used to. I got a oh, Easy, you got a channel? I just share the ones of the people who are in the channel. So I know TP has one. I saw TP in here earlier. Let me find his. He hasn't put much. He should put more content. He doesn't put much though. Let me find his channel name. Man, my back is killing me. TP, the perspective. Look at TP. He's up to 88 subs. On 2 videos, that's impressive. That's real impressive. That's really cool, man. Really cool. So sub up to TP. He's not on any of the beef stuff or anything like that on his channel. It's actually literally giving his perspective on different things. It's only been 2 videos. I've been waiting for him to do some more. He just puts really serious thought into a topic and then he just talks. So that's TP's channel. I'll still do the main ones. Let's see. These are the channels that I frequent. The main channel. Kwame Brown Bust Life is one. And then Damn D POV is another. Copy, paste. Other than that, that's all I got. If you guys would like to donate to this channel, this is my Cash App. If I can find it. Where are you, Cash App? There it is. I'd like to provide a fresh wind. Everything goes right back into this channel. There's that. And I think that's all I got for you guys. Like, subscribe, share. Like I said, I'm at like 490. I'm 10 away from 500, and I'm getting closer and closer to the watch hours. Share this live. I can get some more views and watch hours off of this, and it's important. It's not a joke what's going on. Whatever this is, I can't think of a positive outcome to this other than them finding whatever it is they're looking for. So if they're looking for a nuke, we all better pray that they find that. And that's a terrifying thought, but it's the most likely scenario. They're not looking for a person. There's no reason to look for anything else this hard for this long. They've been looking for a month in the same area, which means they got some kind of intel saying that whatever it is they're looking for is in this area. Now they're expanding the area, but something's telling them, look here, look here, look here. Whether they found radiation, that's a possibility. We don't know. They won't say anything. And I'm not sure they should say anything. But I think they should say, we know what it is. They're saying we don't know what it is, and there's nothing to see here. And don't worry. I don't like that message at all. I don't like that message at all. So with that said, again, I'm O Speaks, O Tatum Speaks. Like, subscribe, share. Help get me up to 500. Other than that, thank you all. Thank you, Phoenix Rising, as always. Who else is in here? Easy. Welcome, sir. Thanks for coming back. CP3, appreciate you, sir. Oliver Green Apartments, thank you for your interactions and good insights. Andre Dub, thank you for doing this the whole live and not saying anything. Who else was in here? Toby, thank you, sir. Appreciate you. And thank you, Phoenix Rising. I saw that you shared the other one. I just saw it the other day and it was so late. I was like, oh man, I don't want to like it like a week later. But I did see that and I really appreciate that. G Will, thank you. Mike Levin, appreciate you. Andre Deb, I already said, as always, thank you, sir. Clara Booker, thank you very much for stopping by, young lady. TP, of course, just shared his link. I said Mike Levin. Amber C, thank you. Who else? I think that's everybody. Oh, True Pac. True Essence was in here. Thank you, young lady, for coming in. And with that, I believe that is everyone. Miss Chicago was the first one in. And Miss Genesis. Thank you. Thank you all for coming in. Thank you all for the support. I genuinely appreciate all of you guys on a Saturday night coming to rock out with me and watch videos on UFOs or drones or whatever these things are. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much.